Hello, friends. Thanks for coming. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Kimberly. Hey, Sarah. Hi, Ruth and Linda and Georgia and Stephanie. We're just kind of waiting for people to populate and come in. So make sure that, you're comfy, that you've got something to write in and to write with. The library sent out our packet today. Ooh. Our packet today. You should have got an email. So check that. I can drop it in the chat as well. And feel free to unmute and we can just sort of chat a little bit while we wait for people to show up. Hi, Donna.
Hello.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I have a reading later for my chat book, so I'll have a lot of Zoom today.
It's a lot of Zoom. Congratulations on your book.
Thanks.
I'm going to drop the PDF into the chat in case you didn't get it yet. Let's see if that works. It does not. Hey, Deb, do you know how to put that in the chat? The PDF I
I'll
sent
give
you?
it a try. Let me give it a try.
Thanks. While we're waiting for people to show up, I want you to think of one piece of good news that you have to share. Something that's happened to you lately that's a good thing. Okay, there's so much bad. I know that we can all pull something bad out of the air, but something good. And we're going to go around and do a little round table here. Just at the very beginning, you're going to say your name, where you're zooming in from, and something good that has happened to you. So have that ready. We're still letting people in, so. If anybody doesn't have the packet and didn't have access to the email, please put your email or email me your, put it in the chat, put your email address in the chat. Okay, there we go. And I can quickly send it to you real quick before we get started. I do want everyone to have the PDF on hand. So, okay, I will send that to you, Kimberly.
She just put it in the chat.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Good job, Deb. You did it. I'm proud of you. I don't know how you did that, but good job. All right, so there it is in the chat. There's a PDF there, and it's called Wonder and Awe. That's what we're going to be focusing on today, just because we need it. It's springtime. There's a lot to, to look at and to be awe-inspired by. And there's so many horrible things happening in the world that we just need to take a break from it sometimes. So I'll give people a couple more minutes to come in. Again, I just want you to think of something good that's happened in your life lately that you'd be happy to share. We're going to talk about where you're from, where you're coming in from, and your name. And we'll get started with that in just a couple of minutes. So again, just make sure that you have the packet in front of you. It's there in the chat, thanks to Deb. And if you want to unmute and say hi, feel free. Hi, Marty. Hey, Karen.
Hi,
Always good to
hi,
see you.
Kai.
Hi there.
This is a great surprise.
Oh, wonderful. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Kai and
Hey.
friends.
And friends. That's right. We're already all friends. Hey, Pam. How you doing? Big TEDx speaker, award winner. Yes.
I am so happy to be here with you, the queen that you are.
Oh, I love your background. Cool.
Hello, hello.
Okay, Karen, let's see, the info. You might have come in. Can you drop that again, Deb, into the chat, please? For people that are just coming in, they don't see it in the chat. If you could do that one more time. And I just want to acknowledge Deb Moore with the Central Arkansas Library System doing all the technology in the background. Big thanks to the Central Arkansas Library System for hosting this masterclass. I'm just honored to be here and to share space with all of you. There it is. There's the chat PDF. So you can open that up. I'm also going to be screen sharing the packet. So if you don't have it and you don't have access to a printer, we're all still going to be able to see it while I screen share. Okay, if you feel comfortable turning your videos on, you can do that. The way that I run any kind of a workshop, any kind of a generative time together is that I usually sit around the table and there's usually maybe wine or water or a little yummy hors d'oeuvres or something like that. And of course, over the last couple of years, we have not been able to do that in person. And we maybe are starting to get back to that point, but until we do get there, I'm going to just imagine all of us sitting together around a table. And the way that I like to facilitate that sort of warmth is to go around and share some good news. So I will start, and this will be your model. Okay, so you're going to say your name, your pronouns, where you're zooming in from, and then one piece of good news. So I am Kai Coggin. She, her are my pronouns. I'm zooming in from Hot Springs National Park, Arkansas. And I just found out today that I was a finalist for the Hot Springs Chamber of Commerce Woman of the Year Award. So I'm going to find out in a couple of weeks if I won, but the tickets are really expensive to go to the gala. So of course I'm like, So that's my good news. And I'm going to call on Teresa. You're next to me in our little Zoom square. So Ms. Teresa, take it away.
My name is Teresa Gallion. I'm zooming in from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I'm excited beyond measure right now because a trip that I've wanted to go on since I was a child is finally a go after 2 years in a row being canceled. So I'm leaving for Jordan and Egypt.
Oh, wow.
In a few days. So I'm just ecstatic.
That's amazing. Thank you, Ms. Teresa. That's beautiful. Enjoy your travels. Okay, Linda. Linda Lovell or Lavelle. You're still muted, honey.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm in Springdale, Arkansas, and yesterday I found a card in my wallet that said 65 plus from the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. And it was issued to me in 2013. And I was just cleaning out my wallet and I stumbled upon it. So I thought, what is this? So I wrote to the Game and Fish Commission and said, what's going on with this card? And I gave them all the numbers that were on it. And a woman named Kim emailed me back today and said, that's a lifetime fishing license, so you're good to go.
Hey, that is good news. Thank you, Linda. That's beautiful. Thanks for joining us.
Sure.
And speaking of Kim, we're going to go over to Kimberly Ann Priest. Where are you zooming in from? And tell us, what's going on that's good in your life.
Sure. I'm zooming in from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm a Michigan girl, though I'm here for a writer's residency. And I guess my good news right now is poetry related. I had a new chapbook that just came out this month. I don't have it in my hands yet. It got mailed today to me. So I wish I could show it to you, but it's a beautiful little chapbook called The Optimist Shelters in Place with editions. And I love it because it's my first non-trauma book. So I've been through a lot of trauma. So this is my first book it's about loneliness, which is traumatic, but it's not the same kind that I've been writing about. And it's about loneliness. It's about the pandemic. It's about a middle-aged divorcee who has 2 adult kids. So it might be about me. And So I get to, and I'm going to read from it at 8 o'clock today. So if anybody wants to come to a reading after, please come to our readings and watch me read from the book. But yeah, I'm excited about it.
Congratulations, Kimberly. That's great. So Kimberly and Donna both have chapbook readings tonight on Zoom. So that's a lot of Zooming, lots of good poetry news. Thank you. And definitely, I'm happy that you're writing a book that's not all about trauma. And I know that your cover art was done by Laura Page, and she's a good friend of mine. I have a piece of her art hanging on my wall in my office. And so she's a wonderful artist. Oh yeah, perfect.
This is
Cool.
the artwork for the cover of the book. You probably can't see it. It's a little tea set with a plant and a spider. The book is
Awesome.
the spider. So yeah, I have her artwork as well.
Yay. All right, Susan Abbott, where are you zooming in from?
So, hello, everybody. Yes, I'm Susan Abbott. I'm zooming in from Joshua Tree, California. My pronouns are whatever you want to say. I answer to anything. And let's see, the good news is I was invited to read poetry at our local Fringe Festival. It's happening in May. So I'm very honored and excited about that. So that's my good news.
Thank you, Susan. And thanks for remembering the pronouns. I want everyone to practice using your reactions, the little emojis down at the bottom. There's a little happy face. And let's just show each other a little extra love. Or if you hear someone that you like, or, while we're reading the poem, something that you like, just use these reactions. And it's another way for us to sort of feel connected in this disconnected space. All right. So thank you, Susan. Next up, Ruth.
Hi, I'm Ruth. I'm zooming from Chicago. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I guess the big good news is that my husband and I seem to be buying a 2-family house that will allow us to live with our daughter and her family.
Wow.
And do the dual generational thing, being with them, but not too much with them, and helping out with the grandkids. So we're excited about that.
That is exciting, Ruth. And that's kind of a win-win with the way that the housing market is right now. And
Yeah.
so good luck with that. That's going to be
Thank
fun.
you. Yeah.
Yay for grandkids. Okay, Karen Powers, where are you zooming in from?
Hi, I'm Karen Powers. I'm zooming in from Wausau, Wisconsin, in the beautiful Northwoods, where we still have that S word on the ground.
No.
The days after Easter, yes. And my pronouns are she, her, hers. And my good news is that I have had a poem published in a book of poetry for Ukraine. It just came out on April 11th, and it's on Amazon. The book title is called Poetry for Ukraine, and all the proceeds go to the crisis there, which we won't talk about. But I also have a painting that was just accepted for commission. So during the pandemic, I was having a great deal of trouble writing poetry, and I switched to painting. And I have a painting that was just accepted for commission, and it's going to be hung starting May 1st locally.
Fantastic. Congratulations. And absolutely. Thank you for naming the tragedies and the travesties that are happening in Ukraine. And of course, our hearts continue to stay with them. If you'd like to put the link to that book, Kimberly Ann, you as well, and Donna, populate the chat with those links and stuff, and let's stay connected that way also. We'd love to support. So thank you, Karen. Okay, Donna. And some of you might think that this is a little superfluous, but I really believe in creating this warmth between us and getting to know even just a little bit, even just for a moment, the good things that are happening, and for us to hear each other, because it's been such a disconnected time. So kind of keep them short, but we are gonna let everybody speak and say one good thing. Okay, so let's go, Donna.
Hi, everybody. I'm Donna Voyer, in the southwest suburbs of Chicago. We just got rid of the S word here as well. It's still cold though. I'm just going to share good news that's not writing related, and that's that in a week and a half or so I get to see two loves of my life. One, my son, and who I don't see very often, and the other one, my favorite band for the last 25 years, 9 Inch Nails, who hasn't been on tour for a very long time. So going down to Tennessee to see my son and Trent Reznor at the same time. So I'm very happy about that and very excited.
Nice, Donna. That was unexpected. Like 9 Inch Nails. Okay, that was awesome. Yay. Stephanie Ventura, where are you zooming in from?
Hi, I'm Steph. I go with she, her. I am zooming in from Saco, Maine. So it's a little south of Portland, originally from Boston. And I actually just got some good poetry related news today. I submitted a poem to Poetry Nation. I don't know if anyone has heard of that, but they had a contest. I'm a semifinalist, and the piece is going to be published in something at some point. So that's really cool. I've never been published before. Thank you.
Congratulations. Oh, that's your first publication? Fantastic. I remember that feeling so well, Steph. Enjoy it. Run around the house screaming. It is a big deal. Call everyone. Tell everyone.
I just keep saying, why me? But I will try. Yeah, I will try to let it sink in.
Because you're awesome, because you're a published poet and your words need to be out there in the world, Steph. So congratulations. That's a huge milestone. And I want you to just like roll around in it. Okay. Feel every feeling and enjoy it. Yes. Yes. Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Good to
Yay.
meet you all.
You too. Carrie, where are you zooming in from? Oleskowitz. Did I say that correctly?
Good job. It's not an easy one. I'm Carrie, she, her. I am zooming in from Gainesville, Florida. And my news is I have a second date with a guy tomorrow who might not be awful. So I'm letting myself kind of feel all right about that.
Yeah. You too, Carrie. Just roll around in that feeling.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right.
Yeah. Nice. I love this. See how we're already like feeling this connection? And I don't know. And we're all over the country right now. And like, I love you all already. And it's only been 15 minutes. So let's keep going. Marty, where are you joining us from?
Hi, I'm she, her. I'm in New York City on the Upper West Side. And I'm happy. It was a very cloudy day, but Kai's brought the sun out a little bit. Right now it's coming out. And I'll be traveling in 2 weeks to visit my sister on the West Coast, where there will be plenty of sun, I hope.
Thank you, Marty. I love that other S word, sun, and the other S
and
word.
I want to
green.
congratulate everyone who we've heard from so far.
Thank
Great
you, Marty.
news. That's
Awesome.
great news, everyone.
Awesome. Ms. Pam Johnson Davis.
Hello.
Hi.
Everyone, my name is Pam. My pronouns are she, her. I am zooming in from Chicago, Illinois. And my exciting news is about a month ago, my husband and I moved into a new apartment. And it's beautiful and safe and secure. And those are not things I'm used to. So.
And it's not a cartoon, right?
It's not this cartoon. Imagine real life. This cartoon. Yes. It's been really exciting.
That's awesome. Congratulations. I love that Chicago's in the house. All right, Karen Stewart. Always lovely seeing you, Karen.
Always lovely seeing you and everybody else. So I'm she, her, and that's the first time I've ever announced that. So, okay, she, her. And I just had a lovely weekend at the beach, rented a house with my sister and her husband and my son and his gal and my husband. And we celebrated my parents' lives. My mom passed away 8 years ago and my dad 3. And we did all our traditional things and released their ashes. And it was lovely, very joyful.
That's beautiful, Karen. Thank you for sharing that. I love that you celebrated their lives with such intention. That's awesome. Thank you. Sarah Anath has been part of my workshop since the before times. We've been doing these when it was actually around a table with actual glasses of wine. This is my dear friend, Sarah, who's a new mom.
Yeah. Hey, Kai. Hi, everybody. So I'm Sarah Anath. I'm living in Rogers, Arkansas. So I'm zooming in from there. My pronouns are she, her. Let's see, my good news. So my birthday is the 22nd. So this is part of my birthday gift to myself, is coming to a poetry workshop. I really probably should have pumped before I came to this workshop, so I might have to step out for a moment.
Hey, we're here for
if my-
breastfeeding. It's fine. That's part
if
of the
my daughter
wonder and
gets
awe.
hungry,
Yes.
if I turn my camera off, you'll know why.
Okay.
But yeah, so this is my birthday present to myself, and I love Kai's workshops, and if you haven't been to them before, you're in for a treat.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. Okay, Danny. Is it Danny? Danny Coots?
It is. I don't know if you remember me from AWP, but I was one of the people that bought the metaphor dies.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Cool. Are you having a good time with those?
Oh yeah, I actually created a poem out of them.
Hey.
But yeah, my name is Danny. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm zooming in from Hendrix College in Conway, Arkansas. I'm actually a Hot Springs native.
Are you one of Dr. Dasbach's kids?
I am.
All right, cool.
And the good news that I have received, well, I've really been on the search for a job since I'm going to graduate next month, and I think that I might be able to get one through this program called Southern Teachers, so that'll be cool.
Oh, that's fantastic, Danny. Good to see you here. I'm proud of you for coming, and I'll let Dr. Dasbach know to give you some extra credit.
You should.
Okay, Laura Younger, where are you from?
Hi, I'm Laura. Pronouns are she, her. I am in Alexandria, Virginia. And my good news, I'm making lemonade out of some lemons. I just sat on a really tough jury trial, but I have written 11 poems about it, and I think I might have a chapbook going, so we'll see how it goes. It's just been a really, really great time for productivity. So that, and I'm planning a trip. We've already booked everything. My daughter and I are gonna do Texas Hill Country in September and do some wineries. So I'm looking forward to that.
It's beautiful. The Hill Country is beautiful too. And thank you for your service in that jury. Okay, Umesh, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes, that's correct. Let me just see this. Okay. Yes, so my name is Umesh, and I haven't done the poetry workshop, or I haven't been in touch with poetry that much. So I just wanted to experience what it is. And I am tuning in from Little Rock, Arkansas, and I go by he and him.
Thank you, Umesh. Welcome. So glad that you're here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Lisa Medley from California. We're all over the place. I love that. Hey, Lisa.
Hey, Kai, good to see you.
You too.
I am calling from San Jose, California, and my pronouns are she, her. And my good news is I just got invited this week to an anthology reading that has been delayed for like 2 years because it was launched the day before the pandemic hit.
Oh, wow.
So now we're having the actual reading, and I'm so excited, and that's in May. And the book is Celebrate Creativity from the Cupertino Poet Laureate. And so that's my good news.
Fantastic. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. It's going to be in person. I don't even know if I'm going to know how to behave.
I know, it's weird. It's quite weird. I just found myself staring at people like for a long time, like looking
you're
at their
real.
faces. Yeah,
you're real.
Yeah. Kimberly knows. Kimberly was with me at AWP. I was like, hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Thanks, Lisa. Okay, we've got four more. Georgia. Hi, Georgia.
Hey, I'm Georgia, she, her, and I am coming to you from Thermopolis, Wyoming.
Ooh.
And my good news is that I'm in Thermopolis. It's the world's largest mineral hot springs. And about a week ago, we're still getting lots of snow in Wyoming. We got 9 inches last Monday. And anyway, I decided I was going to do a DIY writer's residence. And do you know how much writing I've done? So little, but the water is magnificent. And I feel like it's helped me process a lot of things.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. And
it's
feel the feelings, and then you can go home and write about all those feelings, but you got to feel them first. That's awesome.
Yes.
Beautiful. I've never heard of Thermopolis, and I live in Hot Springs National Park, which is America's oldest hot springs. So,
yes.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, Melody. Good to see your name here, Melody. Are you there? Okay, we'll come back to Melody. How about Sasha? Hello, Sasha. Okay. Is Andrea, okay, there's Sasha.
Oh, sorry. I am trying to figure out to turn my video on, but not leave the Zoom.
Okay.
It's
Hi there.
Hello, Sasha from Centralia, Washington. I have like persistent visual issues from a concussion, so I have trouble with screens, so we'll be sort of invisible, but I'm happy to be here. And yes, I recently had a few poems accepted by Tupelo Quarterly for a upcoming disabled poets issue, so excited about that. But hello from the slightly gray and rainy West Coast.
Hello, Sasha. Sasha, is there anything I can do to make this easier for you? Can I send you a printout of the PDF, or is there anything that I can do to aid to make this easier or more accessible for you?
The PDF would be great, actually.
Okay. And so Deb can put that in the chat, or we can email it to you. If you'd like to just send me your email, I can send that straight to your email.
Okay, I will drop an email. Let's see.
And Deb will handle this. I'm just putting that in your hands, Deb. Thank you. Thanks for being here, Sasha. Yeah. Okay, and last but not least at our table is Andrea.
Hi, my name is Andrea.
Andrea.
And I am calling from Maryland, and I have been to a few of your readings, and so when I saw your name come up on some social media feed, I was like, oh, that's exciting. So I've never been in a workshop with you though, and so something good is that I'm here because it's really hard to find time to write, and yeah, so that's something good.
Well, I'm really glad that you're here, Andrea, and thank you for taking the time to carve out that space for yourself. It's hard, even though it's National Poetry Month and, you know, poetry everywhere. We're just inundated now with Zoom opportunities and workshops and readings and all the things. So this is going to be 2 hours just for you. We might go a little bit over. I don't know. We'll see. But let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we're going to be looking at wonder and awe, and the packet is right there at the top of the chat. Deb just put it in there, or hopefully you printed it out from your email. I'm the type of person that still likes pen and paper. So I like to write all over the text and circle stuff and underline stuff and really talk to these poems because poems are alive and I need to like feel them and hear the paper and, you know, crunch them in my hand. So however you want to access these poems is totally up to you. I am going to screen share them. So if you don't have access, it'll still be right here on the screen for everybody to see. Let's see. Can y'all see that okay? Give me a thumbs up. You can see that. Thanks, Susan. Okay, our first poet is pretty much the, you know, the ambassador of wonder and awe, if I say so myself, and it is Mary Oliver. And during this time of such darkness and strife and war and all of the things, when I really need to find comfort, when I really need to find stillness and peace, I open up Mary Oliver, and she always delivers. And so we're going to start with a poem by Mary Oliver. And as we read, I want you to read with a pen or pencil in your hand. If you have that paper copy in front of you, then I want you to underline whatever sticks out to you. In terms of craft, if you want to underline whatever craft items stick out to you, metaphors, similes that you really love, any kind of figurative language, anything, sonically, imagery, whatever resonates with you. The way that I run my workshops is that poetry is relative. So each of these poems is going to hit each person wherever you are. Okay, and it's going to hit each person differently. And then we're going to read each poem, and I'm going to have room for maybe 2 or 3 people to just comment on what they like, what sticks with you, what resonates. Okay, we're gonna mine for the wonder and the awe in these already wondrous and awe-inspiring poems. We will be reading not all of these poems, okay, obviously, because there's a bunch in here. I wanted to pack as many as I could in here for you. And you can read them on your own, but we're going to go through some of them. We're going to have time to write, about 20 minutes to write a first draft, and then we'll have time at the end to share. Don't be scared, Steph. I see your face. I'm going to call on you first, Miss Published Poet. Just kidding. And so that's how it's going to roll. It's going to be really calm, cool, casual, chill. This is a safe space for everyone to just experience poetry from wherever you are. Okay, so let's get started. This is Mary Oliver's poem, My Work is Loving the World. And I'll start us off with reading this one, and then I'm going to ask for volunteers for the other ones, okay? My work is loving the world. My work is loving the world. Here the sunflowers, there the hummingbird, equal seekers of sweetness. Here the quickening yeast, there the blue plums. Here the clam deep in the speckled sand. Are my boots old? Is my coat torn? Am I no longer young and still not half perfect? Let me keep my mind on what matters, which is my work, which is mostly standing still and learning to be astonished. The Phoebe, the delphinium, the sheep in the pasture, and the pasture, which is mostly rejoicing since all ingredients are here, which is gratitude, to be given a mind and a heart and these body clothes, a mouth with which to give shouts of joy to the moth and the wren, to the sleepy dug up clam, telling them all over and over how it is that we live forever. Karen, I just love you. Karen does the, oh, the wonder, the awe. So I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to just circle a couple of things. Talk back to Mary's poem here. What stuck out to you? And I'm going to do the same. I'm just going to underline a couple of things and then we'll come back to the table. If you'd like to comment, go ahead and raise your hand if you'd like to share something that stuck out to you. And that's in that same reaction section where we're doing the little hearts, okay? And if you raise your hand, it'll bump you up to the front of our Zoom. And I see Miss Teresa. Miss Teresa, what would you like to share? What did you like? What stuck out to you?
Mary Oliver happens to be one of my favorite poets. I have quite a few, but she's always been a great stimulus for me. In this particular poem, I always like it when she says, my work is loving the world. And down in this third stanza, she says, and I add, and standing still and learning to be astonished. Those are powerful for me because I so love to travel and see the world.
Yeah, thank you. Perfect. And I knew that she was your favorite, I think. That's why I chose her. Can't go wrong with Mary Oliver. Thank you, Miss Teresa. All right, Karen.
I think I am the sheep in the pasture and the pasture.
Yes.
Just not forgetting the context of what we're seeing or feeling.
I love that also. I love that also. I underline that as well. The sheep in the pasture and the pasture. That's such an important decision there. It just takes you to a whole nother level of depth. Thank you, Karen. And the other Karen, Karen Stewart, what stuck out to you? What resonated?
I love the way she moves me through the poem. And it starts with, here the sunflowers, there the hummingbird, and through the whole poem, I'm looking and seeing in different places. I love how she does that.
Yeah. I did the same thing. I circled all the here's and there's because it's like, it's a literal action, like you're moving. Where's the hummingbird? I want to see it. Where's this? But, you know, it's a little thing, but it's a detail that really, it matters. I mean, she did it with intention. She really does move you through all these different images in such a beautiful way. Thank you. All right. And Donna, what would you like to share?
I'm a big Oliver fan as well, but in this poem in particular, the way she uses that anaphora of here, 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 but then which, is such a brilliant balance of image and then explanation. And then all the images are so beautifully balanced. You know, most of them are in pairs. You know, there's a couple of threes, but most are pairs. You know, I'm sorry, I don't have it on my phone. The Phoebe, like the Phoebe and the delphinium, right? The sheep in the pasture.
Yeah.
The moth and the wren, the sunflower, the hummingbird, And I think it kind of gives it a prayer-like quality, a chant. It's almost like a litany.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Donna. And those of you that aren't too familiar with vocabulary in terms of poetry, anaphora is using repetition in a poem. And it's Anaphora, anaphora. Thanks, Donna. There definitely is sort of a chanting aspect to it. It's almost like a prayer. And last but not least, Marty, what would you like to share? What stuck out to you?
I like the mouth, which was to give shouts of joy.
Beautiful. Thank you, Marty. Did anyone notice the second stanza there? Are my boots old? Is my coat torn? Am I no longer young and still not half perfect? Like she goes there, she takes you, these are her human thoughts. These are the human, cycles of self-deprecation that we find ourselves in. But you know what? She doesn't stay there, but she acknowledges how we all think, kind of. But what takes her out of it? Let me keep my mind on what matters, which is my work. And what is her work? To love the world. It's beautiful. It's just a beautiful way to sort of, like I said, if you're ever in the dark doldrums of humanity and everything, open up a Mary Oliver poem and she can just give you a new hope, a new little way of thinking. Steph said, I felt like I was punched in the stomach reading that line. Which line, Steph?
No longer half perfect. I feel like a lot of life and a lot of my poetry usually circles back to that feeling of not being enough, which I think is, pretty relatable, universal. So I love that, it starts in like, okay, this beautiful picturesque, and then you get to that point where you're like, oh my God, and then it's just like, okay, but I have to remember that I'm here and there are things to be, grateful for. She mentions gratitude, and it's like you feel that, and then you feel this really like this wonder and awe at, well, I'm here and look at everything's around me and just be thankful for that.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Steph. Great perspective. Okay, so that's how we're going to do this. We're going to read each poem. We're going to talk about it and see different people at our table are going to notice different elements of the craft, different elements of the poem that stick out to them based on what resonates. And so that's how this workshop is going to go. We're all just going to share what we see, what we like, what sticks out to us. Okay. Any other final thoughts about Mary Oliver? Thumbs up if you liked this poem, thumbs down if you didn't like it, middle thumb if you're like, it's okay. Yeah, see, lots of thumbs up. Now, I do this with little kids too, and they just like the agency of like, I don't like this poem, it's stupid. But, I don't think any of us are going to say that today. All right, the next poem is going to be by Walt Whitman. When I Heard the Learned Astronomer. Would anybody like to volunteer to read this one for us? Not all at once now. Okay, Donna. Thanks, Donna.
I used to teach Whitman, so I felt like I had to raise my hand. Okay.
You were
When I
right.
heard the learned astronomer. When I heard the learned astronomer, when the proofs, the figures were ranged in columns before me, when I was shown the charts and diagrams to add, divide, and measure them, when I, sitting, heard the astronomer where he lectured with much applause in the lecture room, how soon unaccountable I became tired and sick, till rising and gliding out, I wandered off by myself in the mystical, moist night air, and from time to time looked up in perfect silence at the stars.
I'm going to give you a few seconds just to look over that, what it looks like on the page, the words, the alliteration, the anaphora again, and what sticks out to you. And Donna, if you'd like to share what sticks out to you as a former Whitman teacher, maybe you can give us some insight. I love the perfection of the ending. That last line just really sticks with me. Okay, Linda, what would you like to share? You would just unmute yourself. Linda, you're muted.
Hi.
Hi.
I used to also teach, and I loved to use this very poem to show students what poetry is about. And I just think it's a brilliant poem. And I also thought that my students could really relate to what Whitman is saying, that things don't really happen in the classroom when you talk about them. They happen when you see and feel them. It's just brilliantly constructed. I just think it's a beautiful, beautiful poem.
Thank you so much, Miss Linda. And you're absolutely right. You must have been a fantastic teacher because you know those things. You know those secrets to the wonders of the universe like that. Like you can't teach about stars. You've got to sit under them. You can't teach about, Aurora Borealis. You've got to experience those colors with your eyes. You can't teach about a bird cracking out of a shell. You've got to see it and see those little fledglings coming out of that nest. So I love that aspect that you shared. Thank you, Linda. All right, Ruth. What resonates?
I also have always loved this poem, and it's partly that it's all one sentence, and the repetition of the when just builds it up. When. And then I've never been a math person, so the fact that there are all these images that suggest, kind of the dryness of mathematics, of proofs, figures, columns, and then the word unaccountable, that seems the very opposite of all those things that you can count. There's something about unaccountable that just suggests all the mystery of being a human being. And I just love the strangeness of that word.
Wow. I love your perspective, Ruth. That's so beautiful. I too saw I didn't notice that it was all one sentence. That's a really cool observation. But I noticed also those very mechanical and concrete images sort of juxtaposed with, the vastness and ethereal mysteries of the stars. So thank you. It absolutely is unaccountable. Karen Powers.
I jumped from Whitman's time to now, but you can go chronologically. Looking at life with your eyes, not through a lens, not through your camera, not through your phone, not through another interpretation, but looking without an interpreter, the astronomer being the interpreter. And we have so many things telling us what we thought we just saw or what we just heard. And so much better to look with our own eyes, look with our own heart, and make our own choices. That's where it took me.
I love that. That's such a cool observation. Absolutely. Yeah, this is getting somebody else's point of view when you have your own eyes, you have your own experience. Thank you so much for that. That was beautiful, Karen. Okay, Ms. Teresa.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I was just going to say that there's the line in particular is in the mystical marsh night air, and from time to time looked up in perfect silence at the stars. For me, that carries a very heavy spiritual undertone. Since I tend to write in that particular vein.
Absolutely. Tapping into the mystical, the things that can't be named. Yeah, absolutely. And there's that alliteration there in those last couple of lines that don't really appear in the other lines, because it goes from, those concrete mathematical things and then more into the figurative and the poetic language. Kimberly.
Yeah, just what struck me was, I wrote this down, the accountability of tangibility. So even when we know people from a distance, there's a lack of accountability to their being, their presence, their health, their survival, their everyday routines. We don't have that accountability to them, but when they're tangible, when they're right in front of us, when we know them, we have this accountability to all of those things, their survival, their happiness, all of those things. And how in this poem, Whitman is, speaking of the earth or the world or the universe, and how we become more accountable to it when we actually touch it, smell it, see it. There's sort of a law that then binds us to it, because it has to thrive and survive. And so we have to participate in that. That's what struck me in the poem.
Yeah, there really is a separate nature to the whole first part of the poem that he's like removed from. He's disconnected from that, the mathematics and the concrete until he experiences it himself. Yeah, that's really well put. Thank you. Okay, for the purposes of time, I'm just going to keep us moving, if that's okay, Karen and Donna, unless there's something super pressing that needs to be said about Whitman. We're good? Okay. All right. The Piece of Wild Things next by Wendell Berry. He was born in 1934. This is a beautiful poem. Would anybody care to read it for us?
I can read it.
All right.
The Piece of Wild Things. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water and the great heron feed. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free.
I just get chills from that one. I just have to sit with that one for a while. Thank you, Kimberly. That was a lovely reading. Underline at least one thing. And if you have not raised your hand yet, raise your hand and share it with us. Come to the table. Okay, Laura, what resonated with you?
What resonated with me is that tendency we all have to worry and imagine a future, and how this poem just brings you to presence and even uses the word presence. So it was just, it's perfect.
What about that line, Laura, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief? Forethought of grief. Like, what a cool line. Tax their lives with the forethought of grief. Wow. It just, I mean, that's just talk about a punch in the gut, Steph. Like, what about that one, right? Like, man, I should really stop doing that. I don't need to tax my own life with forethought of grief. Like, just be where you are.
People who don't do that.
They're right here in this packet.
Yeah, exactly.
Carrie, what would you like to share?
For me, it's the very first line, even the first word, when despair for the world grows in me, not if, when. So it's happening, ongoing, and that's the way I feel. So it's just, I always stop there, even though I love the whole poem, because yeah, when that despair is there, here's what you do. That's what I love about this poem. Almost an instruction.
Yeah. When, not if, but when. And there's that acknowledgement. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Susan. Unmute yourself.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
The place of rest that one comes to be in this grace of the world, and it's a thread that's been in all these poems so far, to come to stillness, to come to rest, to come to some peace, and you open yourselves to that sense of awe, to that sense of being like what Whitman says, he separates himself, but then he's one with something larger than the astronomer's facts, and and that's what Barry comes to in this when he comes to his place of rest. So just stressing the rest in all these pieces is important to me. It stands out.
I love that, Susan. And that's something that so many of us have to really remember, that word rest. I myself have to tell myself, rest. You don't have to say yes to every invitation, to every, just rest. Give yourself time to experience life. Just like our friend there that's in the hot springs. Was it Sasha? No, I don't know where she went, but the one that was in the hot springs there in Wyoming, she's feeling like she's not writing, but she's experiencing the wonder firsthand, so yeah. Okay, Andrea, and then we're going to move on.
Yeah, so this poem actually, I think it came up on this website called On Being, and it just
and I think somebody else like in a meditation group like recommended it as well, which is interesting because I've seen this poem before and looked at it from different perspectives. And like right now and I always felt like it was a poem where it's like, you know, just being wherever you are, you know, in the moment and connecting to that. But now I kind of see it as well as like just like there's so many oppositions in this poem. And yes, be where you are, but be with everything. Like it's not saying good, you know, like someone else just brought up the when, despair, like not if, but when, like someone else just brought up, because it's going to be there no matter what. So like, how do you kind of live with that, live with everything at the same time? And the title of the poem, The Peace of Wild Things, like those also seem like oppositions to me. So it's just that about this poem, which is cool.
Cool. Yeah, if you haven't listened to the On Being podcast, it's a highly recommend, especially Jane Hirschfield's episode. Thank you, Andrea, for that perspective. Any other thoughts? Okay, we have another Wendell Berry poem on the next page. We're not going to read it out loud, but it's a damn good poem. And if you needed some instructions on how to be a poet, Steph, he tells you right here. I like picking on you because, you know, it's a special day for you. So I'm just going to make you feel extra poety. Okay, yeah, of course. We're going to go now to Naomi Shihab-Nye, who's on that same page. Naomi Shihab-Nye is a Palestinian American poet, just an absolute wonder. She's the Young People's Poet Laureate. And I got to meet her in Chicago for a teacher's conference. And I gave her my book and she gave me hers. And it was like one of the brand new, like first copies of, you know, limited edition book. And she just so generously was like, well, here, take mine. And I was like, oh my God, okay. And she's just such a generous spirit. And so we're going to read different ways to pray. Would anybody like to read? We can break this up into stanzas, you know, maybe 3 people taking turns.
I'll volunteer if no one else does.
So Teresa, the first stanza, then Marty, and then how about Sarah? Okay, Teresa, Marty, Sarah, y'all just take turns, okay? Teresa, you first. Different ways to pray. Read the first stanza for us.
Okay. There was the method of kneeling, a fine method if you lived in a country where stones were smooth. The women dreamed wistfully of bleached courtyards, hidden corners where knee fit rock. Their prayers were weathered rib bones, small calcium words uttered in sequence, as if this shedding of syllables could somehow fuse them from the sky.
Marty?
There were the men who had been shepherds so long, they walked like sheep. Under the olive trees, they raised their arms. Hear us, we have pain on earth. We have so much pain, there is no place to store it. But the olives bobbed peacefully in fragrant buckets of vinegar and thyme. At night, the men ate heartily, flatbread and white cheese, and were happy in spite of the pain, because there was also happiness.
Some prized the pilgrimage, wrapping themselves in new white linen to ride buses across miles of vacant sand. When they arrived at Mecca, they would circle the holy places, on foot, many times. They would bend to kiss the earth in return, their lean faces housing mystery.
Teresa? Thanks, Sarah. You're muted. Just round robining here. Then Marty, then Sarah again. Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm the 4th stanza now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. While for certain cousins and grandmothers, the pilgrimage occurred daily, lugging water from the spring or balancing the basket of grapes. These were the ones present at birth, humming quietly to perspiring mothers, the one stitching intricate needlework into children's dresses, forgetting how easily children soil clothes.
There were those who didn't care about praying, the young ones, the ones who had been to America. They told the old ones, "You are wasting your time." Time? The old ones prayed for the young ones. They prayed for Allah to mend their brains, for the twig, the round moon, to speak suddenly in a commanding tone.
And occasionally there would be one who did none of this. The old man Fauzi, for example, Fauzi the fool, who beat everyone at dominoes, insisted he spoke with God as he spoke with goats, and was famous for his laugh.
Thank you, Teresa and Marty and Sarah. Okay, so there's a lot going on in this poem. It's not just looking at birds and being awed and wondered. We're going a little bit deeper now and bringing some spirituality into the conversation and prayer and religion. And Naomi Shihab-Nye writes a lot about the conflict, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and she's a very vocal poet on the side of Palestine and has gotten a lot of flack, honestly, about her political work, but she does not shy away from it. So that's why she's one of a mentor for me in the literary world, with her bravery and courage to say things and speak about war and tragedies and things like that. So there's a lot going on here. What did you notice? What stuck out to you? The thing that I love the most was the olives bobbing peacefully. While the man was like, "There's so much pain on earth," under the olive tree, and the olives just bobbed peacefully in fragrant buckets of vinegar and thyme. She does such a good job of always bringing ordinary, like food items, sideways into poems and using them as vehicles for metaphors. There's always coffee or oranges or bread, very earthy type foods in her poem. So I just love that she does that. Linda, what would you like to share? And you're unmuted, so we're ready for you.
I didn't mean to unmute.
Oh,
I don't have anything to say right now.
Okay. How about you, Laura?
I think what I love the most is how she describes different behaviors. And it's like, okay, there's the pilgrimage. That's an obvious way to pray, to go to Mecca. But for the certain cousins and grandmothers, that pilgrimage occurring daily, that worship within the quotidian really resonated with me in the way she describes it. Present at births, humming quietly to perspiring mothers. It's, it just.
And you can sort of infer that is a commentary about women, right? I
Right.
kind of felt that it was, not male cousins, but these are female cousins and grandmothers that are doing the daily pilgrimage, the daily spiritual work of, what is it? Balancing the basket of grapes, lugging water from the spring. Like, this too is sacred. This too is prayer. This too is holy. So all of those things. Thank you for bringing that to the conversation. I noticed that too, Laura. The one stitching intricate needlework into children's dresses, forgetting how easily children soil clothes. It's just gorgeous, isn't it? Sarah, as you read, what did you notice?
So I actually that stanza that was just talked about was the same. It was the one that I was going to talk about, and I just wanted to echo everything that was already said about it. What I like is the one stitching intricate needlework into children's dresses, forgetting how easily children soil clothes.
Wonderful image.
I'm in that right now with my daughter. And so like that really resonated with me, but also this idea of like stitching and moving the needle and it being this prayer, like this very rhythmic work, and like being able, prayer is hope, right? You're praying, you're hoping. And in this, you know, you're hoping this little one's going to wear this dress, and they forget how, you know, they're going to get it really dirty, or they won't wear the dress because they're going to pull it over their head and show everybody, you know, like, but they're still hoping, right? There's that prayer that maybe they'll let you put this dress on them. And so that's kind of where it went for me, because it really resonated with where I'm at right now with
See,
Aja.
I love that, Sarah, because as I said in the beginning, everyone approaches a poem from a different place. There's different windows and doors to every single poem based on your own life, your own experiences, and what you're going through right now. So Sarah sees her little daughter lifting that Easter dress up over her head, you know, even
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah,
I
that's-
also really, really liked this because going from being, you know, working and my work being such a big part of my life, and then deciding to stay home with Aja, like this puts women's work and says this is something sacred and important. And I know you guys already said that, but it's so important because it often feels like, what have I done all day? Like I've changed diapers and fed her, and did I accomplish anything? You know, and so I
Yes.
love that
Yes, you
part
did.
of this, you know, so yeah, thanks.
Yes, you did. And you do every day. Yes, you accomplished. Pam, share what you would like to say about Fauzi. Why did that hit you?
Oh, I just loved it. Prayer and poetry sort of coming together in the form of laughter, or maybe rebellion, because he's done none of this. He's done none of these things that she's mentioned. He's instead beating everyone at dominoes and giggling and talking about God as goats and goats as God. Like,
yeah.
I find that to be really joyful.
Beautiful. And Naomi does such a beautiful job of inclusivity. Like everyone is welcome into this poem. There are different ways to pray. And even if she doesn't write it in here, it invites you to think about, well, how do I pray? How do I acknowledge the sacred around me? Whether it's animals, whether it's babies, whether it's cooking a beautiful meal for the person that you love, all of these things are a form of prayer. Rest is a form of prayer. Writing is a form of prayer. So she really invites us into that conversation and that thought. Lisa, what would you like to share?
First of all, I just adore Naomi Shihab Nye, and I have forever. And what stuck out to me was the first 4 lines of the next to the last stanza. There were those who didn't care about praying, the young ones, the ones who had been to America. They told the old ones, you are wasting your time. Time? The old ones prayed for the young ones.
Right?
I just love that one. It just jumped out at me.
Yeah, totally. And nothing even needs to be said about it. It's just like, boom. Yeah, it's so perfect. Thank you, Lisa. I love that. All right, Karen Stewart.
Okay. The last 3 lines in the second stanza, that one word also in the last line literally gut punched me and I burst into tears. At night, the men ate heartily flat bread and white cheese. I loved that line because it just said it, the simplicity and just kind of the plainness. And then, and we're happy in spite of the pain because there was also happiness. Oh, I'm crying again.
Oh, Karen. Yeah, that's the magic of what one word can do. Just one little word choice there, one choice by the author to put that also in there, because it acknowledges both. Again, thank you. That's such an important little detail of craft.
Yeah.
Marty, will you be upset if we keep going?
Oh no, go.
Oh, okay. All right. Teresa, is there anything super pressing, or can we keep moving? All right. Thank y'all for reading. Y'all did a beautiful job. Beautiful triolet of voices. And just so you can, experience more Naomi, the next poem in the packet is also wondrous and full of awe. It's called Boy and Egg, and it's a shorty. Okay, let's see. Let's go to some old school poetry. Let's read some John Donne. Does anyone want to read John Donne, Batter My Heart, Three-Personed God? Ruth? Did I see your hand up, Ruth? Okay.
You did. I love this poem.
Hey, wonderful. And feel free to expound and talk about why you love it. And, you know, you can have the first hand up, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Batter my heart, three-personed God, for you as yet but knock, breathe, shine, and seek to mend, that I may rise and stand or throw me, and bend your force to break, blow, burn, and make me new. I, like an usurped town to another do, labor to admit you, but oh, to no end. Reason, your viceroy in me should defend, but is captived and proves weak or untrue. Yet dearly I love you, and would be loved fain, but am betrothed unto your enemy. Divorce me, untie or break that knot again. Take me to you, imprison me, for I, except you enthrall me, never shall be free, nor ever chaste, except you ravish me.
Mm.
So,
Ruth, hold on, Ruth. That lovely, lovely reading, Ruth. I know that this is not your first rodeo with this poem. That was just, you read it with so much depth and meaning and clarity, and I just appreciate you. I'm going to give people about 10 seconds to look into
sure.
the poem and find something that sticks out to you. Did you notice the form of this poem? Did that stick out to you? Did you notice the rhyme scheme in this poem? Ruth did a really great job highlighting that without pounding us on the head with it. But we'll come back. So find something that stuck out to you. Okay, Ruth. Why don't you
well,
start?
I'll just confess that I wrote a paper on this poem my first year of college. And since it's been 50 years since then, and it's still stuck with me, I think it's the alliteration that does it for me. The violence of his need for intervention from God that suggests the level of his resistance to God, but the way he evokes the violence that he's inviting, break, blow, burn. There's just something about that imagery that I find very moving.
Thank you, Ruth. Okay, Donna. And again, thanks for reading, Ruth. That was a beautiful reading.
I think I've always, with this poem, both struggled with and admired the necessity, sounds like necessity of violence and danger in order to reach the higher plane of spirituality, or to be the better person, that the person that you want to be, that something has to be stripped away. I mean, we've got words of violence like batter and ravish and break, and I think it's really interesting dichotomy of ideas that I've never quite gotten my head around, that I like it, that those images are there, or that it's troublesome to me. And I think that's why I keep going back to it, which is one of the things about a good poem. But that need for violence to create something beautiful is a strange idea to me.
Do you feel that it was purposeful, like in terms of a commentary about, religion or the Crusades, or historically, like what religion being forced upon people has led to, so much violence, and, that it could also be a play on that?
Yeah. Well, for me, having gone through Catholic school as a kid,
yeah.
The part that always, was pushed on us was that I am betrothed to your enemy, that all of us are really betrothed by sin. And then in order to be free of the enemy, we have to be imprisoned by something else or captured by something else. So to me, that language takes me back to my religious upbringing.
Okay. Karen Powers. Thanks, Donna.
I sort of think of it as machismo. I have to battle God, or God has to attack me to get my religion or to get my faith or to break what's in the barrier. I can't just gently say, hey, this is a good idea. There's no poem in that.
It's
There's
not
no
Mary
action
Oliver.
there.
It's not Mary Oliver, right?
No, right,
It's
exactly.
like the opposite.
That's kind of where I saw it from.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, thank you. Sasha. And if you'd like to leave your camera off, that's totally fine, Sasha.
Thanks. Yeah, thinking about, I've also always been kind of captivated and put off by this poem at the same time.
Right,
And
yeah.
I was thinking about what about the kind of violence and masculinity? Is it like to have this intense erotic longing for God, but also being male? Is there some discomfort with that that's like covered by this violent language? Or, I wonder what's going on. There's certainly like a kind of queer reading you could do, but not necessarily, but I wonder what that might produce.
Ooh, I love you. I mean, I love you. I mean, I love that you brought that into the conversation. I do love you. I don't know you, but I love you. Thank you for being here. But I love that you brought that perspective into the conversation. That toxic masculinity and that there is a sense of eroticism to the poem. Like it could go either way for sure. And thank you for noticing that and saying that. Linda, would you like to share?
Yes, I'm a great lover of form. And this to me is a perfect sonnet.
Yeah.
I believe it's an Italian sonnet. It's got its 4 and 4, 8 lines to begin and then the 6 lines to end. But the rhyme at the end, which you would think of, you need to look for to make sure it's a sonnet. The rhyme doesn't grab me at all. It's perfect. It doesn't, what I mean is that it does not call attention to itself.
Ooh.
It just flows so beautifully. And also, in spite of the struggle that's going on in the poem puts it in a container that is so disciplined and perfect that it just really appeals to me. It gives it so much more depth.
Wow, I love that so much, Linda. I love the thought of putting something so chaotic and so violent into such a disciplined form as the sonnet is. And little nerd me, I went and labeled the rhyme scheme as we were going, and it's a fun thing to do when you can see it and hear it and like identify it right away. Like, oh, it's ABBA. It's a sonnet. Oh, it's 14 lines, and you can see it right away. And that sort of gives you a new window into how to approach the poem. And why did he choose this form? So thank you, Linda. Thanks for bringing that into the conversation. So this is another aspect of wonder and awe. Some people only find it through religious, tribulations or struggle, this fight to enlightenment or whatever. And so these are all different windows, different doors that we can approach this theme of wonder and awe. Okay. Anybody else have any other thoughts on this John Donne poem? Sarah, you said this was your favorite?
Can I just say quick?
Yes,
the
Marty.
Poem next to it took that line and used it. To the desert, it says, in the middle, you're forced to break, blow, burn, and make me new.
Yeah, it sure did. Isn't that cool? It borrowed the line. And since we didn't read that, but that's so cool, Marty, that you saw that. Yeah, this poet in the packet next to John Donne's borrowed the line from the Donne poem in his own poem. Thanks, Marty. Okay, we're going to keep on going. I love the mystics, and I always turn to the mystics when I need, to remember the magic and the oneness of the universe, and poets like Rumi, Hafiz, and I love Khalil Gibran. So we're going to read The Astronomer. Would anybody like to read for us? Karen Powers, is that your hand up to read?
Yes, just
Okay.
slow mute button.
We're doing good.
The astronomer. In the shadow of the temple, my friend and I saw a blind man sitting alone. And my friend said, "Behold, the wisest man of our land." Then I left my friend and approached the blind man and greeted him. And we conversed. After a while, I said, "Forgive my question, but since when hast thou been blind?" "From my birth," he answered. Said I, "And what path of wisdom followest thou?" Said he, "I am an astronomer." Then he placed his hand upon his breast, saying, "I watch all these suns and moons and stars."
Thank you, Karen. Beautiful. It's one of those you just have to sit with, right? I saw a couple of you like do that prayer, and I like going between such different poets like John Donne to this one now that's so soft and ethereal, and that it's just a whole different universe that these poets are approaching wonder and awe through. Would anyone like to comment? Or Karen Powers, did anything strike you as you were reading that?
That's a first time read for me, so I was taking it in as I read it. And as the last lines hit, I just felt my heart lift. Because again, it breaks barriers. Again, it breaks preconceived notions and ideas. And again, it reinforces the value of self and self-experience.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. I love that this was your first time to experience that poem. And you said it so perfectly as that last line hit. You could feel your heart lift. You can kind of feel it open. That's why I like to just give us a little bit of room to let that hit you on all the levels: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. And it's like boom, 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 boom. There it is. And this poem does that, as many of the poems in this book, in this packet do. Susan, and then Kimberly, a couple more comments.
I was just noticing this astronomer as compared to Whitman's astronomer.
Yeah, exactly.
And, he's like the mystical approach into coming into this, the blind astronomer sitting with all the stars and the planets and what have you. And Whitman have to walk away from the astronomers who are with their charts and numbers and all that kind of thing. So it's like, the mountain is there and there's many ways to approach it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, thank you for that comparison. And that was definitely on purpose when I created this packet, to look at how different these are.
Great choice.
Thank you. And this is absolutely, in this, I guess, in mysticism as a whole, the going back to the source and knowing that you come from this holy place, that you are a God yourself coming into this earthly body. And, so this poem says that. And I watch all these suns and moons and stars as he is touching his own chest and acknowledging that he himself is the universe. The universe is pulsating inside him. And though he's blind on this level, he sees the majesty and the beauty that's within him, the light, the stars, the galaxies, the infinity that he holds inside. So that's what this poem is just so powerful to me. And that's the kind of spirituality I gravitate toward. Okay, Kimberly.
I think you just sort of said what I was going to say.
Sorry.
this idea of presence, that is as watching, like it's not the physical watching, but it's just being present with these things in the body, being present to them in the universe. And even though he doesn't have the eyes to see these things, he has the eyes to see.
Yeah.
Just watching into something that's completely different than what we would expect. That was it.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Kimberly. Okay, how can Black people write about flowers at a time like this? By Hanif Abdurraqib. Dear reader, with our heels digging into the good mud at a swamp's edge, You might tell me something about the dandelion and how it is not a flower itself, but a plant made up of several small flowers at its crown. And Lord knows I have been called by what I look like more than what I have been called by what I actually am. And I wish to return the favor for the purpose of this exercise, which too is an attempt at fashioning something pretty out of seeds refusing to make anything worthwhile of their burial. Size me up and skip whatever semantics arrive to the tongue first. Say, that boy, he looked like a hollowed out grandfather clock. He looked like $1 million God with a 2-cent heaven. Like all it takes is one kiss, and before morning, you could scatter his whole mind across a field. I think Hanif, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his name. I think he just won a MacArthur grant, which is like $100,000 grant for his work that he does, writing essays about music, the music industry, but he's also an amazing poet. And this poem, it was definitely a commentary on what was going on, what continues to go on, and what has always gone on in America in regards to violence against Black people. And so would anybody like to share anything that stuck out to them? For me personally, it's the title that just right away pulls me in. How can Black people write about flowers at a time like this? And he does it well.
I can say for me, one of the lines that I really loved in the poem was, and Lord knows I've been called by what I look like more than I've been called by what I actually am.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So beautiful and so relatable, even across identity and intersections. We can all pause and probably find a moment in which we have been perceived as something that we're not.
Yep.
I just thought that was really beautiful.
It's so beautiful and it's so powerful and it's so exact, and even the metaphor that he makes to the dandelion, the dandelion, what can you guys pull or infer from, why did he choose the dandelion, do you think? And there's no wrong answers. It's whatever you think.
Because they grow like weeds.
Okay, they grow like weeds.
And they're a flower and a weed.
Okay,
right.
They're a flower and a weed, all right. And they're the things that you make wishes on,
Oh yeah.
And maybe mothers make wishes on their Black boys and their sons and their children, and they still, get buried, and it's just, there's just so many ways, nuances to why he picked that particular image. Let's see, Donna in the chat. I'm really sorry that I have to go. This has been such a nourishing discussion, wishing everyone wonder and awe in the world that seeks to erase it. Thank you for being here, Donna, and have a great reading. It was an honor to share space with you. Congratulations on your new work, and see you out there in the world. Bye, Donna. Okay, Kimberly, would you like to share?
I didn't even know I had my hand up, but sure.
Oh, sorry.
I'll just say this. I was thinking back to the poem where we talked about where I said the line, the accountability of tangibility, and how when someone is tangible, in the room with us, we're more accountable to their being than if they're just an idea out there and they're across space or across social media like we often are. And I love all the concrete images in this. And how, he's naming the self by these concrete things instead of, I don't know, there's just the tangibility in it. And it just brought that to mind. So I'll just leave it there.
Okay.
Home a bit.
Okay. Karen Powers.
Digging our heels into the mud.
Into the good mud.
Into the good mud. It's resistance. It screams out right away. Yeah, you don't like this, but we're still here.
Yeah.
We're still growing. We're still blooming in your beautiful green lawn.
Yeah, perfect. Beautiful. Look at the end there, the last 5 lines or so. Size me up and skip whatever semantics arrive to the tongue first. Those first thoughts that society has when they look at a Black man. Skip that. skip whatever arrives first. And he's making that commentary quite clearly and addressing that, and say, that boy, he looked like a hollowed out grandfather clock. He looked like $1 million God with a 2-cent heaven. Like all it takes is one kiss, and before morning you could scatter his whole mind across a field. These are beautiful images that he's leaving the reader with. He's leaving anyone that experiences this poem with these beautiful images. $1 million God with a 2-cent heaven. Like these aren't insults that he's probably so used to receiving or throwing out at his friends or whatever. This is just a different way of addressing these thoughts, these preconceived notions, these prejudices, and
vulnerability.
Okay, yeah. Linda, did you notice that there's 14 lines?
No, I didn't.
There is. There's
Is that
14
right?
lines. Yeah.
Wow.
There's 14 lines. And so there are a lot of poets that are writing sort of deconstructed or I don't know what you could call them, but they're basically sonnets that do not obey the laws of sonnets, and they break all the sonnet rules, but they'll still call it a sonnet. And the poet that comes to mind is Diane Seuss, who just won the National Book Critics Circle Award for her fantastic book, Frank, writing. I think it's a book full of sonnets, if I'm not mistaken. And so I'm pretty sure that it's safe to say that this is a sonnet.
Good for him.
Yeah, good for him. I love that comment. Perfect.
And I wanted to say one thing.
Okay.
The dandelion is also so fragile. It can be so easily blown away into nothingness. And that image really sticks with me. I would love to read more of his work. I guess I could just look him up on the internet.
Yep, he has a book. I think there's a wolf on the front of it, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember the name of it.
Great.
Okay, we're going to keep going. We're going to read one more poem together, and then I want you to have about 20 minutes to write and a little bit of time at the end if a couple of people want to share. But again, this is just going to be a first draft. There's no pressure. As you know, we've been just really relaxed together around this virtual table. So we're going to end with the last poem here in the packet, and it is by Toni Morrison. I always want to bring these voices to the forefront. And so we just heard Hanif's poem. I would love to end with the GOAT, Toni Morrison. GOAT meaning the greatest of all time, not like the other goat, Bowsie's goat. So this is Eve Remembering. Would someone like to read it? Eve Remembering. Susan, would you like to read it? Okay.
Love to read it. Eve Remembering. 1. I tore from a limb fruit that had lost its green. My hands were warmed by the heat of an apple, fire red and humming. I bit sweet power to the core. How can I say what it was like? The taste undid my eyes and led me far from the gardens planted for a child to the wildernesses deeper than any master's call. 2. Now these cool hands guide what they once caressed. Lips forget what they have kissed. My eyes now pool their light, better the summit to see. 3. I would do it all over again, be the harbor and set the sail, loose the breeze and harness the gale, cherish the harvest of what I have been, better the summit to scale, better the summit to be.
Thank you, Susan. That was a beautiful reading.
Thank you.
Let's give a couple of comments and then I'll give you, I'm sorry that I haven't been screen sharing. I totally forgot. And I just have been enjoying seeing all of your faces. And so I apologize if you didn't have the packet in front of you. I'm so sorry. I've just literally been staring into all of your little boxes and enjoying seeing you. So apologies. Does anyone want to comment on Eve Remembering? I love the line, I bit sweet power to the core. I just love that line. How can I say what it was like? The taste undid my eyes. There's been a lot of persona poems written, from Eve's perspective, and this one is very beautiful. Marty, what would you like to say? And you're muted. Nope.
I would do it all over again, be the
Yeah.
harbor and set the sail.
Beautiful. Thank you. Susan, what about you? When you were reading it, did anything stick out to you? You're muted. One day we will go back into the world and never be muted again.
Hi, I lost you there for a minute. My Wi-Fi has been a little wonky, so but I just love this poem, and that I tasted the taste undid my eyes and led me far from the gardens planted for a child to wilderness. To wilderness is deeper than any master's call. I mean, it's going back and just being in that, and that she would do it all over again. Loose the breeze, harness the gale, like she has that power now. She tasted the power. She can loose the breeze. She can be a weather witch. She is all that.
Yeah.
So I just. I just, in terms of the arrival of Eve in this, I appreciate that a whole lot. Beautiful.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, Karen, some last comments here. Do you feel the wonder and the awe in this poem as well?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I love the last stanza because she just slips into the rhyme and it really ramps up the joy I'm feeling in the end of it. And then, the rhyme scheme is great, but it's really natural and it's really just like a flow. And I'm just feeling she's like, yeah, I'm digging it. And then to end with the one line that doesn't have rhyme in it, better the summit to be.
Yeah.
Boom.
Boom.
Love it.
Love that. Thank you, Karen. Absolutely. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for noticing that. It does have an energy toward it. It leads to this pacing. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Any other final words about this poem or any of the poems that we've talked about? Okay. I'm going to screen share now and I will give you the prompts. We've got 8 prompts to choose from.
Oh my.
You don't have to write all of them, obviously. And I will send you these prompts. I'll send these prompts to Deb and she can send them out to you also, or I can write them in the chat, whatever you guys would like. But can everyone see these prompts okay? Give me a thumbs up if you can see them. Okay. So there are 8 choices and the final choice is write whatever you want to write, because maybe you don't want to write about wonder and awe, but you have room right now to write whatever is on your heart. The other ones are about wonder and awe, different aspects of it. So read each one, whichever one resonates with you, go to it. And this is just our first draft. These are our first meager scratchings about this theme. So no pressure, just let it flow. And this is a safe space. If you'd like to share it at the end, we'll have a little bit of time for that. So I'm going to set a timer for about 20 minutes. You can turn your cameras off if that makes you more comfy. And then I'll let you know when we have about 5 minutes left, and then I'll lead us back into coming back to the table. So find a prompt that fits you and where you are, and happy writing. Susan, did you have a question?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry. About 5 more minutes. Less than a minute. Okay, that was my timer. So go ahead and finish that last line, that last thought, scribble it down so you don't lose it in case you're not done yet. We're going to slowly come back to the table. by which I mean turn your cameras on. And I just want to know how that went for everybody. You can give me a thumbs up or a heart, or I don't think there's any angry faces in the reaction. No. Maybe something surprised you. You know, give me a reaction there. Some thumbs up. Okay, Steph is an octopus. I like it. I don't know what that means, but perhaps it went in many different directions.
There were so many I could choose from, so I just went down
Ah.
one tentacle.
Nice, nice. Okay. Would anybody like to share their first draft? No pressure. Again, this is not a published piece. We're not putting these out into the universe or, you know, anything like that. In fact, we can stop the recording. We'll stop the recording. So this is just between us here. Deb, if you want to do